What's up, everyone? DraftKings NFL Week 12 first look coming at you. We're going to take a look at the salaries, the matchups, get ready for NFL Week 12 across the board. But first, we got to look back a little bit, guys. Week 11 went incredibly well. If you're a follower of this channel, a watcher of the videos, and of course, a subscriber to DFS Army, we nailed a lot of stuff last week. We had a lot of big winners across both the main slates and even the showdowns. Here's just a look at one of the contests on FanDuel, and this is just ridiculous. One, helmet after helmet. One, Tijuana Madman, Ball of Bob, Bean Bucket, Tijuana, Bean Bucket, Frankamus Prime, and Tijuana. These guys absolutely crushed it on FanDuel. And before, not just FanDuel and DraftKings. And I'll talk about some of the calls that kind of led to these monster wins. Here's a DraftKings version. There's Frankamus Prime, stats, Wushu. Look at all these helmets. This is what we do at the DFS Army. Average Joes competing and beating the pros. These lineups, by the way, these lineups were good enough to win the Sunday Million. These were in a smaller contest, so you're not seeing the big, sexy numbers. Who cares? That's what we don't judge. We're here. You can enter contest, any price level. I believe this one, the pooch punt, that might be a nickel or a quarter game. $1,000 from a quarter. That's pretty damn good. It's a really fun way to do DFS. So an incredible week, but we'll talk about why. If you watched Tournament Tactics last week, the first thing we talked about was the chalk quarterback. We're like JJ McCarthy, and we laughed at what donkeys were playing him, right? Go back and watch Tournament Tactics from last week. There is still edge in this game. If you watched my videos last week, I gave out 3 quarterbacks to target primarily. It was Brissett, it was Josh Allen, naked Allen, Brissett, and Flacco. Flacco failed. All right, Geek, you suck. Well, the other 2 quarterbacks were the nuts plays. We had a core on Brissett. We had a core stack of Brissett, Wilson, McBride, which we're going back to. We're going back to it this week. But hey, watch my core stacks video. It was right there. That's what we talked about. And it led to monster results. I also want to shout out some of the members who were shouting out Sean Tucker during the Players Club on Saturday. Wow, what a call. John Marchese, JT, Savage, I Am Served. A couple of others were nodding in agreement. Some of those guys got swag. We did a little swag bet. So I'm sending out some swag to those guys for that call. I said, if this guy 5X's his salary, I will send you a swag bag. And there it was. It happened. That also really helped lead to a lot of big Army takedowns this weekend. And that's how we do. Shout out to Kanger, an amazing run in the flea. Almost took it down, 750 into 5K. Shout out to Nurang, who just small balled his way, $44 into $1,200. Pretty nice. And of course, Monday Night Football. What would it be without a showdown takedown for KTEL35, who is absolutely crushing it this year? So a lot of great member wins. A lot of more that I'm not mentioning here on the screenshots, but we had a bunch more pocket max takedowns. All of that. And that's what we do. That's what we do. What I love is these are average Joes, not when you kind of look at other sites. A lot of the times, the people that you see touting up whatever they're doing are professional players that really probably aren't even using those tools. This is regular DFS Army subscribers that are using the domination station, using the notes, the burn sheet, crushing it every week, my sheet and Bobby Wow, all that stuff, putting it together to take down tournaments week after week after week, and also employing the bankroll management techniques we discuss every week on the Players Club right here on this channel on Saturdays for members. The bankroll management techniques, the multipliers, the way to keep you in the game, winning multipliers, cashing multipliers until you take down the big tournaments. So great stuff last week. Congrats to all the winners, all the swag bag winners, all the Wall of Champion people. But we got another week to prepare for. And I love the way this week sets up. Let's get to the matchups tool here. And I'm going to show you what I talk about. So we have haves and have-nots, and there's some sneaky spots as well. I know exactly where to go, and we're gonna drive home another smash week this week. So let's get started here. Jets at the Ravens. The big news in this game is just the Jets are benching Justin Fields and loading up Tyrod Taylor in this one. I think Tyrod Taylor is generally a better quarterback than what Justin Fields is, and would generally drive better results for the Jets pass catchers, but they just don't really have any pass catchers of note. So this one's kind of gross. I don't really like either side of it. Outside of maybe like a Derrick Henry on the Ravens smash the Jets theme, that's about it. We haven't seen where Lamar Jackson in these kind of non-competitive matchups puts up numbers worthy of like anything all that great. So while it's certainly within the realm of stuff that could happen, I'm going to leave this game mostly aside, outside of maybe some Ravens running back exposure. Next, we have a really, really good one. Patriots at the Bengals. Bengals will not have Jamar Chase in this game, suspended for a week. Thank goodness. Like, oh, man, I've been playing Jamar Chase too much. They won't have Jamar Chase, which leaves T. Higgins as the prime guy, but the Patriots have an elite superstar cornerback in Christian Gonzalez that should be able to slow down someone like T. Higgins enough to sort of mute any possibility of the Bengals doing a lot of work in this one, which leaves us with heavily favored Patriots with a monster 28.75 point total up against the terrible Bengals defense. I think everybody eats, but especially Trevion Henderson in that one. Seahawks at the Titans, 40.5 point total. That one's terrible. Nothing to like here. Seahawks offense, but where do you go with it? Not really sure. Seahawks defense, great. Don't touch the Titans at all. This one's a lot more interesting. The Colts at the Chiefs, 50 point total, cold weather, outdoor, winter in Kansas City. I think fireworks can happen in this game, and they probably will happen in this game. So this is one we want to keep in mind. Mahomes, great. Even Danny Dimes, I don't think this is the kind of situation where Jonathan Taylor is going to get you 3 touchdowns against a really high-level Chiefs run defense, a Chiefs team that might be leading in this game for periods of time. So it's a must-win game for the Chiefs. I like Mahomes and Mahomes' weapons primarily, and then we'll look at anything on the Colts that might be interesting on a bring back. Next up, we've got the Steelers at the Bears, 45 point total. Pretty neutral on paper looking game. Aaron Rodgers banged up. Will he play? Won't he play? I don't know. I don't think it matters. I think actually the Bears will win this game at home. The question is, can Caleb kind of pull off some more fireworks? I think, yeah. I think we're fine to go back to Caleb and his weapons in this game as a secondary play. It won't be a primary, but it's something that we can keep in mind for silly for the millie. But getting over to this next one, Giants at Detroit, 50 point total. Lions have a 30.25 point team projection. That is a ton of points to score. Rightfully so, because the Giants give up a ton of points to opposition. Giants are set with a 19.75 point total. Guys, I think we could first of all bet the over on that. Jackson Dart should be back for this game, which will make the Giants more competitive than what the sportsbooks thinks they will be. With that being said, that doesn't mean the Lions won't be able to score at will on the Giants. So the more the Giants are doing, the better the Lions players are going to do. Jahmyr Gibbs back in the mix. Amon-Ra, fine, right? Play Brock Wright if we need to. Just the bonus tight end. There's spots on the Lions to make some money. And on the Giants side, it's just really Jackson Dart. We just play Dart. But I don't know that Dart, I think Dart having a great game might actually just push Jared Goff to have an even better game. So kind of like what we saw with Knicks. So we'll think about this one as well throughout the week. But I certainly am always going to play Dart when he's healthy and on the slate. And maybe naked Dart. Maybe a little naked. Packers at home taking on the Vikings. Just guys, listen. I want to take it. Let's say you watched my videos last week, but you also watched some other stuff. And you watched somebody talking up JJ Milfson McCarthy in that spot last week, right? You're like, wow, this made a lot of sense. And the people that you watched told you, hey, you should play the highest owned guy on the slate, JJ McCarthy, who by all measures has not shown that he's an NFL level quarterback as of just yet. Again, closest comparison, Zach Wilson, as of right now. Could change. He's actually had moments. I don't even think Zach Wilson had the moments that McCarthy's already had. So I'll put him ahead of him. But still, not necessarily. But you watch this person, and they're giving you all these excuses or reasons why they thought that was a good play. Maybe stop watching that person. Maybe they don't know DFS at all. Maybe they don't understand that you don't play somebody like JJ McCarthy as chalk, right? As the highest owned. It was cute if it's a millie maker silly for the millie nonsense. Okay, at 1% owned, but not when he's the highest owned guy. Those people don't understand the game that we're playing. Don't watch those shows. Watch my show. Or better yet, sign up at DFS Army and become part of what we do. Use my cheat sheets, use the rest of the team, Burns. We're using math. We're using algorithms. We're not sitting here. I don't know what the hell these guys are doing. That was one of the worst chalk plays, maybe in the history of chalk. And with that being said, I'm not touching anybody on the Vikings this week. They're on the road at the Packers. The Packers are going to smash these nerds. They're going to smash them. I don't care who the quarterback is for that. I mean, Jordan Love came back last week. I don't care. Packers are going to smash them. Moving on. This game gets me excited. The Jaguars on the road at the Cardinals. Jacoby Brissett, another week probably without Marvin Harrison, who's recovering from that appendicitis. That means we could literally do exactly the same thing we did last week. Again, there's no version of a lineup that I want to really make. I like McBride really needs to be in a lot of these lineups. They jacked up his price this week, so we'll see. Michael Wilson gets the upgrade in price point. That's a bummer, but hey, was great to be core on both those guys last week, and I think we go right back to them. Brissett, McBride, even Michael Wilson. The Jaguars have been a team to attack, and then we can bring it back with pieces from the Jaguars in this one. Parker Washington, something like that. So we'll pay attention to that situation, of course, as we do the breakdown this week. Browns at the Raiders. This is disgusting. Do not play anything but defense. Next, Cowboys at home taking on the Eagles. Eagles, 3-point favorites, 3.5-point favorites, 48-point total. This game can go a lot of different ways. I'm a little worried about it. I like Saquon in it. I think the Eagles defense is better than what the Cowboys offense is generally, but will that show up in this game? I'm not sure. Can the Eagles offense finally shine? They have not shined this year. They've been sort of like meh, right? Can they finally shine against, the ultimate matchup, the Cowboys? I think maybe. So I like the Eagles side of this game. They're favored, but remember, road favorites has not been working particularly well for DFS this year. So, I'm going to approach any kind of road favorites with caution. Finally, Falcons at the Saints, 39.5-point total. It's pretty gross. It looks like the Falcons lost Penix for the season. He is gone. IR. It's going to be the Kirk Cousins show. Kirk Cousins has not looked good as quarterback. So we really need to think about this one. This might even be a spot where we play some Saints defense. It is ominous that the Saints are favored here. So against that backdrop, let's jump over to the DraftKings player pool and start to kind of go position by position and get this slate figured out from a who's a good play perspective. Reminder, because I've noticed some of you guys do like to comment, especially like on Friday or Saturday on this video. Well, that lineup or this or that, or you have a guy in that's out. Reminder, I record these on Tuesdays. This is an early look, a first look. And of course, some information may come out. So anything that I'm putting together, this is not designed to be a lineup to necessarily put in a DFS contest this week. I'm just going to kind of point out some of my favorite value plays or kind of core plays at each position group early in the week. What stands out early week, right? And then we'll see what the ownerships are. We got a million other things we do before we make final lineup decisions. But let's get right into it. Top price guy here, Drake May. That's kind of interesting. May has not really put up a number. I had to have it DFS number all season. I tend to think he probably won't hear, even against the Bengals. I tend to think that, he could get there at 6,900. I don't mind it, but I do prefer the running back in that game. Now, next we have Pat Mahomes. Now, Pat Mahomes, I really do like here. A couple of down games, doesn't matter. Look at just tough defenses. They were on the road at Denver, at Buffalo. Tough games. Now they go back home. They get the Colts. The Colts are a good team. They can score on offense. They're going to push the Colts are going to push the envelope, right? They're going to score on offense. So it's a question. I believe that the Chiefs will answer, and they're going to answer through the air. The Chiefs don't have running backs that are any kind of good. So for the most part, unless Mahomes gets it down to the one and Kareem Hunt comes in to smash one in, this team wants to throw for touchdowns. I like the spot. I think we can play some Mahomes this week for sure. Lamar in the heavy favored matchup against a dead opponent. That doesn't really stand out for me as a spot that I want to target. Hurts, though, I do think we can play him. Road favorite, quarterback aside, Jalen Hurts has a pretty high floor, although I do kind of think that this will be one of those Barkley games also. I kind of got a sense. But if this thing starts to back and forth, then Hurts can, get his shit together. Like, he was horrible last week, could not complete a pass. But if he can get his shit together, I think we'll have one of those big games. But do I have a lot of confidence in it early week? Probably not. Dak Prescott has been one of the best quarterbacks this season across the board. I think this Eagles matchup is a tougher matchup, even at home for them. It does not make me all that giddy to load up on Dak, just because the matchup wise, it's not that great. But I'll have a little bit just in case, but more a little bit just in case. Danny Dimes on the other side of that Colts, of that KC game, the underdog, road dog. I think he can get it done. I think they're going to need to score. They're going to need to be throwing. I think this will be one of those games where the Colts have an elevated passing rate. I might look at Alec Pierce, 5K. Man, do they price him up? Annoying. Either way, though, Pierce has been probably one of the best pass catchers to pair up with Danny Dimes so far this year. Him and Pittman a little bit as well, but Pittman's going to cost a little bit more. Jared Goff. Guys, I actually think Goff is a viable play here. Not like somebody I'm going to, again, silly for the milli viable, only because I think the Giants could be a little more competitive than they're giving credit for here, and maybe that forces Goff to throw a little bit more than he normally wants to. That being said, the results have been pretty Goff-like. Almost every game outside of, we got 2 games so far this season where Goff put up a number that you were excited about, and 10 games or 9 games so far where he doesn't. So about a 20% of the timer, not a safe play. Jolo is no low. Caleb Williams, okay. At home, I think we can go back to Caleb Williams. Caleb really didn't do anything last week. Didn't need to. Maybe did need to, but he didn't. But Caleb has been better at home than on the road significantly this year. Look at the home road splits. For the most part, most of the home games have been pretty good. Look, here we go. Home game, 24.2. Road game, 18. Home game, 29.1. Road game, easy road game, still got a 12, right? This one is his best road effort. Put up a 19.9. Still not anything great. And then dud at home against New Orleans. That was a bummer. Or really, I think they just leaned heavy on the run. Didn't matter. Road game again, nightmare. Home game, 38.2. Home game, 25. Road game, 10.3. I mean, there is a pattern with this kid. He plays better at home. So if we needed to get back on Caleb Williams, I'm fine with it right here. I think this is the spot we can get back on it. Steelers on the road have not been a scary defense at all. We're getting to some good ones, guys. All right, first up, the first main play of the slate is Jackson Dart. Why the hell would we go away from Dart? He keeps getting it done. Now, I don't like that he's coming off concussion, and they might want to reel him in a little bit, new coach. So that adds an element of risk. Like maybe the coach got balled out for, hey, why are you letting him get hurt or run around? The coaches always do this to these running quarterbacks. They always want to reel them in. I know by year 2 for Jaden Daniels, we see it. We see it for Jalen Hurts right now. Never runs the ball anymore. What happened to the exciting Jalen Hurts that had 6 or 7 or 8 design runs a week? Now they have none of them. Lamar Jackson, 2 or 3 design runs a game. It just ruins. But I think the coaches do it because these guys get hurt. And we saw it with Jackson Dart. He's been banged around quite a bit. He goes crazy in there. I don't know that they're going to quite start protecting him that much anyway. It's not like they have anything to play for. So you want to kind of get Dart out there doing his thing. But yeah, this guy's been great every single week. I don't see any reason to go away from playing Dart whenever he's starting, whenever he's this kind of price point. 5,600 all day. Back on the Dart, unstacked. Or stacked up with like Wandale or Slayton, whatever. I also like that the game's indoors. No weather conditions, nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about here. Flacco at home against New England with no Jamar Chase. That is the time to get off the Flacco bandwagon. We're going to exit. Maybe we'll get back on next week. But here, the Patriots defense is really, really good. I don't really see any reason to, play Flacco, even though they're at home. I just don't see a whole lot of reason to get excited about him. All right. Darnold on the road at the Titans. Another one. I don't really see the Titans pushing Seattle to throw a lot. So it would almost be by default that he put up a monster score just like almost on accident. That's not really how I like to attack DFS. So outside of a couple of floater shares, I will avoid. But my quarterback that I want to kind of plug in here is Jacoby Brissett. Brissett gets the nut matchup or a really good matchup against the mediocre at best Jacksonville defense. They're going to be less good at home. Jacksonville is also coming off of an overwhelming let's call it capitulation victory, unexpected against the Chargers. And teams like that, they come off of that, they go on the road. It's almost always a disappointing effort. So I think that the Cardinals can smash here. Cardinals maybe lost Mario DeMarcado, so we got to see what's going on with their running back situation. But the other thing is I do not expect Marvin Harrison Jr. to come back this week. He's still recovering from that appendicitis, which leaves open the pathway that we used exactly last week on this show. McBride, Wilson, Brissett, with a nod to Dortch if needed, right? We did it on, that's what we did. All three of these players were in the nuts lineup. You won $1 million if you played them with the correct mix. So you're welcome on that one. Let's do it again. Brissett, Wilson, McBride, all three of them. Right back to it. Same thing that worked last week, worked the week before. Don't question it. Just do it. Or at least I'm going to. You do what you got to do, right? Okay. There's a couple other quarterbacks that I still want to go through here that might be interesting. So we got Brissett plugged in. 5,300, really reasonable price. There's some silly for the milli spots here to maybe just raise an eyebrow towards, right? So one, Trevor Lawrence on the road at Arizona. No. McCarthy, if you want to play McCarthy, you got to go watch something else. Turn this one off. I don't like this guy. He didn't like who I played last week. And go watch a different show. I'm sure there's a lot of touts out there pushing JJ McCarthy. I'm sure there's a lot of donkeys, and they're going to say, well, I should have done great last week, but this or that, and they're going to make an excuse. That's not for here. We're not going to play JJ McCarthy, not this week, not next week, not until he shows that he doesn't suck. I'm telling you, 50%, these are the numbers of a quarterback that stinks. 50% completion percentage, 47%. He's not throwing to garbage players. He's not throwing to Wandale and Jalen Hyatt. He's throwing to Justin Jefferson. If you can't complete the ball to Addison, Jefferson, if you can't play well against those guys, with those guys, you're not going to play well with anyone. They're the best wide receivers. They're elite. So it's a problem. I just don't think he's very good, guys. Sorry. By the way, if he turns it around and starts being good, I'll be like, okay, he's better now. Why get on board before? Wait. I don't want to be early on this bandwagon. Let somebody else be early on the bandwagon. Not us. Mason Rudolph coming in maybe for the injured Aaron Rodgers. Do we want to play Mason Rudolph against the Bears? Right now I say no. But it's early in the week. I might be convinced. Like, what would Bobby Wow do? I don't know. What's Burns going to say, or Josiah? I could change my mind. But I probably won't. I rarely do. So there you go. Phoenix, no good. Fields, benched. Rudolph, crap. Jamo, we hardly knew ye. As much as I wanted to get on the JMO bandwagon last week, and you guys know just for the brand that I wanted to, I couldn't do it to you guys. I had to let you know that last week was not the week for Winston. It would have to be a different time, and luckily we avoided that nightmare as well. Gino, no. Kirk Cousins, oh my goodness, right? Can we trust Kirk Cousins at all? No. He looks just as bad as he did for that other start. Like, what is going on, Captain Kirk? It's terrible. He could turn it around, though. He can just be good all of a sudden, but that is some silly for the milli insanity. Tyler Shook playing quarterback for the Saints in a pretty good matchup. Can we even consider it? Maybe. Probably not. Silly for the milli only. And then, of course, Tyrod Taylor for the Jets at Baltimore. The one good thing about Tyrod is he doesn't give a fuck, and he does run the football a little bit, but he's throwing to Jets players. It's not a good scene. But at this price, I think Tyrod Taylor is not the worst thing. And finally, maybe Shedeur Sanders. If Shedeur gets the start for Cleveland, I think we should play a couple shares just to be stupid. We're going to do stupid things in the silly. We're going to silly for the milli. We'll play some Shedeur. Fuck it. Shedeur, Jerry Jeudy, a tight end, triple stack. Let's get stupid for the milli, right? But that's definitely not something I want to build around in any kind of tight builds. All right, guys, let's move on to the running back position for NFL Week 12. And there's some injuries. We're going to get into some situations, go over like what's going on in the position group here. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, epic season, epic price point. I'm just gonna tell you guys right now, I'm not playing 10K Jonathan Taylor, I'll have no exposure. Is that going to burn me? Maybe. But that's a process that I just use, and I'm not going to change it. So I'm not going to play Jonathan Taylor at this price, even though he's coming off of multiple games where he would have paid off. You need about a 40 here. So, I mean, we got 2 out of the last 3 games here. Would have paid off a 10K price point. Would have worked. I'm just not going to do it. Bijan Robinson now in there with Kirk Cousins. Could he be better with Kirk Cousins? Could Kirk Cousins somehow help? Maybe. Is he in my player pool? Sure. Is he going to be in my mix? Yes. But he doesn't stand out to me as much as this next guy does. Jahmyr Gibbs coming off the monster game. Another good game for him. Not a monster, but a good game. Volume, not quite where I wanted it to be. But I think if I'm paying up at running back this week, if I want to go all the way this high, Jahmyr Gibbs is absolutely a strong candidate for somebody I want to have in a lot of lineups. But he still suffers from the same issues that he had all of last year. And anytime Montgomery's in there where he's just not getting quite enough volume. He absolutely looks like the best player on the field at all times. The volume's not there, though. But I don't mind plugging him in here. And if we come up with something else, we come up with something else. Josh Jacobs, Q-tag. I'm going to assume he's out this week, and we'll play his backup. Let's see if there's any news. Knee contusion. Injured reserve not on the table. Could potentially still play. So I'm going to assume he's not going to play this week, but I guess we'll see. If he does play, this is a pretty good spot for whatever running back the Packers have. But I'm much more excited about the paydown one. If we can get Manny Wilson for cheap this week, that would be a much more exciting play than having to pay all the way up here for Jacobs. Derrick Henry against the Jets. Anytime the Ravens are heavily favored, Henry is in play. Looks like he had a solid week last week. Another couple of receptions. Got the 100, past the 100 yards. Got the touchdown. That was against a very brutal Browns defense. The thing is, now he's going up against what is, I don't know, I'm not going to say very brutal. A very shitty Jets defense is a heavy favorite. So I think Derrick Henry can shine even further. The downside is he's priced up to 7,600. So that's the downside, right? I loved it at 6,600 against the Jets. At 7,600, it's a little expensive. I actually really like Saquon Barkley here as well against Dallas. Barkley, had a pretty, a couple weeks ago against the Giants, had a nice game, revenge narrative, but it's been a pretty disappointing season overall for Barkley, but it's been like that for the whole of the Eagles offense. I don't think it's specifically Barkley has gotten less good. I think the whole offense in general is just not clicking. Sometimes Dallas is a defense that offenses can get right against. And that probably means a big game from Saquon at 7,500. So he's absolutely going to be in my mix this week. Dallas is one of the worst teams against the running back. Eagles want to run that football down your throat. So Barkley in the mix. But the first main core play for me this week, NFL Week 12, core play at the running back position is going to be Trevion Henderson. Guys, the Bengals matchup is the nut matchup or one of the nut matchups for running backs. It's worked week in and week out. This kid has put up 30-plus points the last 2 weeks. More importantly, targets are there. The volume is there. Everything you want to see out of a running back is there. There's no real backup of note at this point, unless Ramondre forgot about Dre. Fuck. Nowadays, everybody want to talk like they forgot about Ramondre. As long as Ramondre remains out, this play is awesome. But if Ramondre comes back, everything changes. It ruins it. So keep that in mind. I don't want to hear from you on Saturday that about why I love Trevion Henderson on Tuesday before we found out that Ramondre was coming back. I do think that even when Ramondre does come back, Trevion Henderson has done enough to capture the role. But I know how Vrabel operates. They will not just load up Trevion Henderson with touches. They're going to mix the other guy in there, which will ruin it. So this is only a play if we forget about Dre. Dre comes back, all bets are off. I'm going to take it out just because as much as he's a core play, if Ramondre comes back, it's no good. And we have some other really good spots to attack. So plenty of that. Jaylen Warren gets banged up in this game against Chicago last week. Of course, it's chalk. Luckily, we, for the most part, avoided that chalk. I got onto Chase Brown. I just wanted to do everything I could to get off of Warren. last week. I got onto Chase Brown instead. That worked out pretty well, but not for the right reasons. I didn't expect him to get hurt. The reason I got off the chalk was because the coach had said that, here, I'll find that note. Oh, it's already gone. But the coach, Mike Tomlin, had said that he doesn't see Warren as somebody who can handle all of the carries. And yet when he became extreme chalk 35%, I don't really want that for a guy who's going to split touches with someone else like Gainwell. Again, that being said, Tomlin said he's optimistic that Warren will be back for next week's game, which ruins any thought of any kind of a play. I would never have played Warren anyway at this price, but if Kenny Gainwell was going to be there all by himself, I'd have some mild interest. Javonte at the Eagles, not a great spot for me. Janty against Cleveland, not a great spot, although I did appreciate all of the passing game work that he got. It's still not leading to much because Geno Smith and this Raiders offense they stink. So no matter, you just can't get past that, right? You can't get past a team that's only scoring 9 points. Where's the touchdowns come from? You don't get them. Chase Brown, mid against New England. It's not a great spot. Love the volume that Brown is getting. Love it. Put up a 19. Did great for us last week. Had him pretty much in, I just used him at that price point instead of Warren, which worked out nicely for me. But Chase Brown as a home underdog against the number 2 ranked Bengals Patriots rush defense, it's not a good spot. He could still get it done just via the pass, but it's not a good running back spot. Breece Hall, again, this is purely a shot in the dark. It actually might work. Like, I think he deserves to be in a GPP mix. Underdog, road, Baltimore, backup quarterback in play. Why should it work? That's when those plays just seem to accidentally work. So nothing other than a GPP stupidity play. Quinshon Judkins, on the other hand, let's see what he did last week. 17 carries, got a couple targets, bunch of carries, bunch of targets. Price came down. Better matchup this week against the Raiders. So Judkins will remain in my mix. If one of my first lineups that I built for this, I went Browns defense and Judkins. Stack that up combo. But there's more goodness to be had. So let's continue down. Let's see how low we can go at the running back position. Travis Etienne, 19 carries, got a bunch of touchdowns last week. Gets a good matchup at Arizona. The question is, Bigsby Smalls, is he the illest? I don't know. Seemed to get banged up. Wait, not Bigsby. What am I doing? Basil Tootin. I just wanted to say Bigsby Smalls because that's fun. But Basil Tootin had been working in and stealing a lot of these touches from Travis Etienne. He was forced out of the game with an ankle injury. Guys, pay attention to this injury. If Travis Etienne, now this was a specific game where it was really great for the running game of the Jaguars, but the Jaguars are favored in this matchup, or at least it's close. Jaguars. Yeah, they're favored in this matchup. So that's not something to shy away from. We want favored running backs, right? Not road favorites, not as good as home favorite, but still we want favored running backs. If Basil Tootin is out, then this might be the first week or one of the rare occasions where I play some Travis Etienne in a lineup. That would be enough. That would put me on it. He already is getting reasonable amount of work. They've been pulling him out of the game around the goal line in the past. Now for Basil, now he stayed in. He scored a couple touchdowns. You saw what happened last week when Tootin got hurt. So the key to the Travis Etienne play is, will Basil come back or not? Where were we? Etienne. Oh yeah. Tyrone Tracy, no to Aaron Jones. Swift not getting enough work to really excite me right now. A little too much split with Monangai. He did get 21 carries, but Monangai is in the game around the goal line, and he's just playing a lot. I don't like it. 12 carries, the target. So, I mean, it's probably more like a 60-40, and it's not like this Bears team scores enough that I'm going to get excited about a 60% running back. Swift can get it done, but, I'm not counting on it. Kamara here. Kenny Gainwell was exclusively something to be interested if Warren is out, so it doesn't look that way. Walker actually might be acceptable here, but we already know that Seattle will also split those touches. That's not good. No, the name I'm going to plug in here, Manny Wilson. At home against the terrible Vikings team. If Jacobs is out, Wilson is a core play. So if Josh Jacobs is out, Wilson can be used in just about every lineup that we make this week. Core play. If Ramondre Stevenson happens to be out another week, which fingers crossed, I hope so, because then we can load up on Trevion Henderson in all of our lineups as well. And not all, but most. That will be the build around piece that I want to focus on if that comes to pass. Scrolling down the list here, I'm just generally curious as to who the running back will be for our Arizona. We might actually be forced to play Zani Knight, which has never worked. But DeMercado got at the Q tag, got banged up, high ankle sprain. This is a gonzo. So high ankle sprain. Thank you, Imari. You're most famous exclusively for being one of those douchebags who dropped the football at the 1 yard line with your douche celebration. Fuck you, Amari DeMercado. I hope you never come back. Right? People who do that, players who do that, should be cut from their teams and made an example of. You drop the football at the 1 because you want to look cute and you want to look cool scoring a touchdown. You should be cut. You should lose your career, and a lesson should be taught to other players. Why coaches don't do that, I don't know. Goodbye, Amari DeMercado. But unless, who the hell are the running backs? Let's see. You know what? I don't know. Outside of Zani Knight, I don't know. Michael Carter's going to come back. I don't know, right? Michael Carter is the only other guy that's even on the roster. Yeah, they could fuck us with Michael Carter again. They probably will do that. But it looks like Zonovan Knight might be, I don't know. What's going on with Trey Benson? Give me some news. November 5th. It's been forever. So that cleared up nothing. All we know is DeMercado, maybe Zani Knight. I don't know. Maybe. But like I said, this team will just bring in Michael Carter and ruin that. Is there anybody else down low to pay attention to at the running back position? Charbonnet, maybe Michael Carter if he comes back, but really no. That's going to do it for the running back position. Let's move on to wide receiver, NFL Week 12. All right, let's start at top. Jamar Chase out this week. Suspended. Sus. Got JSN priced up at $9K in a non-competitive matchup. He continues to produce, so I think he'd probably get there even in that matchup, like real quick, but it's definitely thinner than it would be if it was a competitive matchup and there had some back and forth, right? So just be aware. Amon-Ra St. Brown coming off maybe what I would say is his worst game as a professional. 12 targets, only 2 receptions. What the who? That is going to bounce back this week. I could see Amon-Ra even again I think this matchup will be more competitive than given credit for, because I think the Giants will be good, and therefore Amon-Ra certainly playable here. CeeDee Lamb, no, I don't like this matchup. Rashee Rice, on the other hand, just somebody I want to stack with Mahomes probably more than a standalone. At this price, he needs to smash, and then some to carry Mahomes with him. So that's a stack with Mahomes piece. Jefferson, no. Drake London out this week. Let's remember that when we get to Darnell Mooney, but also remember that Kirk Cousins absolutely stinks. T. Higgins here. Higgy Smalls. With no Jamar Chase, feels like a smash. But just be aware, again, Christian Gonzalez, super stud cornerback for the Patriots, probably going to be one-on-one on Higgins, and I don't think that sets up well for Higgins at all. As a matter of fact, I think the sneaky play in this game is Yoshivas, the other guy. Keep it in mind. There's also another sneaky play down low. I found a little something out that I got a little sneaky one for us at the very end of this. You're going to like it. You're going to like it, especially Bobby Wow. He's going to love that one. George Pickens, 6,900, coming off the monster game. Reminder that because George Pickens is here, it kind of mutes the upside of CeeDee Lamb just a little bit. Doesn't mean CeeDee Lamb's not awesome. He's going to smash, but we have not seen the monster games from CeeDee Lamb at all year. Why? Get hurt early, and then it's been because Pickens is here, and they no longer need to force feed every throw to CeeDee Lamb. Expect CeeDee Lamb to gradually come down in salary and gradually kind of level out a little bit closer to like him and Pickens being similar, not where it's that big of a difference. So it's unfortunate, but if you're a CeeDee Lamb owner, I think in season long, even, I don't think we're going to get those kind of like, we won't have as much consistent 30 plus point scoring as we might have had Pickens not been on this team. Whatever. Diggs for this price, I'm going to pass on that. Chris Olave with that quarterback. You know what? Is Shook better than whoever the hell else they had over there earlier this season? Because the rattlesnake, because he produced a pretty good game with Olave their last time out. So that's just something more to monitor than anything else. I probably would only play someone like Olave if I also played Tyler Shook. Like, I would reserve that, because why ruin other lineups? If Olave goes off, Shook at his price will probably make value at minimum. Flowers, no. Brian Thomas Jr. should be out this week. Again, we're just going to pay attention to who the other wide receivers are on Jacksonville. Romo Dunze, always playable, but the floor is as low as it gets. 6, 20, 0, 20. I mean, come on, bro. Come on. But, you know, whatever. GPP only. Don't know what to say there. Mikey Pitter, $6K price point. Another guy, after a string of amazing games, kind of came back down to earth against Atlanta. Inexplicably, shouldn't have. That game did everything you wanted. But in the case of that game, it was just the Jonathan Taylor show. I don't think that's going to happen this week. I think Jones will be throwing a lot more. With that being said, KC also is really good at defending the WR1. So it's not a spot where I'm purposefully going to attack. I do think we should purposefully attack like AJ Brown, and especially more so Devontae Smith this week. The Eagles will probably have to throw a little bit to keep up with Dallas. I don't think it's going to be some smash or anything like that. So I do think Devontae, if I wanted to choose one of these guys, would probably be the way that I would go between those two. Scrolling down a little bit, I really want to focus in on some of the lower cost wide receiver options this week. We'll be able to really identify a few really good ones, I think. But I think Parker Washington's playable here against Arizona. Didn't do anything last week. Who cares? That was a domination game by the running back. I think this game will be more competitive. And Parker Washington seems to be the WR1 right now for the Jaguars. They lost all their guys. Let's see who else they have. So you got Washington. They just brought in Jacoby. And that's it. De'Ami Brown. That's it. Let's see what Jacoby Myers did last week. 5 of 6, 11 points. So I think one of PJ Washington or Jacoby Myers on a bring back with Brissett is probably something I really want to do. So I'm going to actually just plug one of these names in here. I don't care which one. Let's go Jacoby. He's a little cheaper, but it really doesn't matter. So I don't mind that spot. And I certainly like it in bringbacks built around this Arizona Jacksonville game. We don't need the bring back. It's not a must. It's not a must. But there we go. That's one of them. Keep scrolling. Yeah, Trey Tucker. No. Booty, not in this spot. I mentioned Pierce, not bad. Dubs, okay. But I think we go right back to Michael Wilson. Feels gross. I don't like getting on a fresh bandwagon on a player who's up 1,000 from last week's score, but the situation hasn't changed. It may have improved. Right now you get Jacksonville. Brissett's in the lineup. Michael Wilson, why not? So I'm going right back to it in the first look. Same stack from last week. We're going right back to it. All right, we stacked it last week too. It was the nuts play. Let's do it again. Darnell Mooney's interesting. With Drake London out for the Falcons, Darnell Mooney, the only game in town. Can Kirk Cousins complete a pass to Darnell Mooney? Guys, I'm going to tell you something. Kirk Cousins was better with Mooney last year than he was with London anyway. Maybe they have a connection. I think Cousins might be completely washed, but if he's not, he's got to throw it to Mooney. Who else? It's got to be Mooney. Getting the start, getting the carries, getting the targets, fine by me. I think Xavier Worthy is worthy of a look anyway. This KC Colts game is something we want a lot of exposure to, so that's worthy of a look. Christian Watson might be the best wide receiver right now on the Packers. That came out of nowhere, but there he is. Pay attention. Darius Slayton, will he be back for the Giants? I guess we'll see. There's Greg Dortch. Dortch had a smash game last week as well. And the people, I didn't allow triple stacks. I just capped my Brissett at double stacks. But the triple stack with Dortch is what led to a lot of the DFS Army takedowns last week. And if you just ran the optimizer with the sim boost rule in place and the standard QB +1 stack, you got a ton of triple stacks. This stack just was exploding on the domination station. The projection model absolutely justified it. Scrolling down, I kind of don't hate Jerry Jeudy or Yoshivas either. So if we're trying to find lower cost wide receivers, I played a really low cost trio here of wide receivers, but partially because I don't think this is we're not getting salary relief at tight end. We're going to pay up, but If we want some lower cost ones, Jerry Jeudy, I think is fine, especially if Cleveland switches the quarterback to Sanders. I like it a lot more in that. So as a matter of fact, I kind of love it. I might like it more than these other plays, right? So I think I can go to this. Yeah, has Jerry Jeudy been good this year? No, but he's had his moments. And I think if they switch the quarterback, I genuinely think it benefits him. So I would take a shot there if they go to Shador. Same thing with Yoshivas. What's my reasoning for Yoshivas? It's not a good matchup. It's not a terrible matchup. The Bengals are at home. But I see Christian Gonzalez being put on T. Higgins with no Jamar Chase there, which should, in theory, open things up more for targets to Yoshivas. So let's just do it. Let's go for it. Scrolling down, my super sneaky gummy play of the slate. My who you getting crazy with? Don't you know I'm loco? That play. It's going to be Luther Burden, wide receiver, Chicago Bears. And check this out, guys. Luther Burden, I've been saying all year, why are they playing Olamide when Luther Burden is as good as he is, right? Me and Bobby Wow had, I think, an argument about this because I said that I think Burden is probably a better wide receiver than Rome Odunze, straight up. I am more impressed by this kid when I see him on the field. And guys, I've told you a million times, I'm not a scout. I don't really, I'm not a football scout. I can watch the games. I can tell if somebody's good or bad, but I'm not going to sit here and claim that I have any ability to, dive beyond that. Just use my eyes the same way that you do. So what you guys are seeing, I'm seeing. I don't have any special skill set of analyzing, like, did he run the route perfect? I don't know anything about that. But this kid looks legit every time he's on the field. And last week we finally saw the crossover where the Bears started playing him 60, 70% of the snaps, and Olamide got the reduction. So in my silly for the millie, let's get crazy. Don't you know I'm loco stack? Fucking Luther Burden. Not even stack. Just play Luther Burden. This one, unlike the other play that I was talking about earlier, I don't want to get early on certain plays. I'll wait and see, and if it happens, all right, cool, I'll jump on board. This is a play I think we can get on early, before the breakout. Luther Burden now getting a lot of snaps. I will tell you guys, my eyes are good enough to see that DJ Moore is kind of like washed in this offense. They he kind of plays a washed role. Luther Burden is that guy. And it is against the Steelers, a team where big plays are possible. The Bears are at home. So our sneaky, low price play, Luther Burden. Bam. All right. Let's jump over to defense, and then we'll finish it up at tight end. So team defense, let's just see what I consider to be what is the cheapest viable defense. It's not that cheap this week, but what are kind of the lowest viable defenses that we can go to this week as we're building lineups? Last week it was the Titans. They did okay. They did all right. We paid all the way down. They did fine. Jets at Baltimore, no. Giants at Detroit, no. Bengals, no. Titans, no. Colts at KC, no. Road Vikings, no. Saints, yes. This is your first viable defense play. $2,500 Saints. Kirk Cousins sucks. Saints are at home. Yes. Does the Saints offense good? No. Who cares? It's a viable play. So that's our cheapest viable defense. Saints, to me, at that price point. But let's continue on and look through some of the rest of these defenses, see if anything else kind of stands out. Dallas, no. Cardinals, maybe, right? Jacksonville, coming off the big win, flying cross country, set up for disappointment, maybe, right? Okay, I'll leave them in the mix. Steelers, right. Leave them in the mix. It is the Bears. They're, they make mistakes. But the next one that stands out to me as a potentially good play, Browns. On the road, sure, but it's the terrible, terrible Raiders. Geno getting sacked. He's just under pressure all the time. They don't have an offensive line over there. Browns are playable at 2,900. Hell yeah, all day. Let's fucking go. All right. Continuing on. Eagles at Dallas, maybe, right? Like, not the worst thing, but not great. Chiefs at home. Yes, but it's against the Colts. Colts have been the worst team to take defenses against. So I'll pass on that one. Jaguars, I'm not going to take them on the road. They're not a good defense, and I like Arizona with Brissett, so I don't care. Bears defense at home. If the Steelers rolled out Mason Rudolph, which I think they might, Aaron Rodgers won't, or actually with Aaron, I actually think it doesn't matter. Bears defense, playable. Falcons at the Saints against the rookie, playable. Raiders defense against Shador Sanders, maybe, playable. Not my favorite, playable. Packers at home against JJ Milfson McCarthy, fuck yeah, not just playable. That will be a top play. Packers at home. Lions against Dart. No, you don't. Dart is football GOAT. We don't play defenses against him. Hell no. Nope. Not under any circumstances. What say you, Randy Jackson?
No. Randy? It's a no for me, dog. I don't think it was really good.
Nope. We're not playing defenses against Jackson Dart. Hell no. Lions, no. Patriots on the road at the Bengals, that's playable. Certainly Baltimore or anybody going up against the Jets is playable. And Seattle will be the top play on the road at Tennessee. Tennessee, absolutely terrible. But you can plug in the Saints here and look at all this money we created. All that salary. All the chitlins. All the salary we just created. Let's go. All right, jumping over to tight end position. At some point, we just have to say McBride needs to be played with Brissett, especially with the other guys out. Like, I don't know what, 11 more targets, 13, 9, 13, 11. He is getting crazy targets. The price is up to 7,800. Kudos to DraftKings for pricing him away from the level where it was a must play, but it's still good. All right, Brock Bowers, tougher spot, tougher matchup. Doesn't even matter. I think we actually 6K Bowers against Cleveland. All right. But I love Bowers, but maybe not this week. The pay up will be McBride, I think, for me. Warren, okay. Ferguson, whatever. Kelsey, whatever. Pitters, whatever. Goddard, kind of interesting. Ty Johnson, kind of interesting for 4,100 with Dart. Juwan Johnson, kind of interesting at 4K. Yeah, maybe like a Fannin, Loveland, somewhere over here. Taylor against Baltimore. So definitely some pay down options here that look kind of interesting at tight end. If we need a double tight, this does not vibe as double tight end week for me. Not like last week. We literally in this show, I believe, ran Kittle and McBride at tight end, and that was great. That combo, I said it. It's going to be double tight end week, all good. This week, not so much. Not really seeing that second name that pops for me off of the list at all. I mean, Warren is fine. Some of these other guys are fine, but they're not a salary saver. So I'm kind of leaning no. And guys, that brings us to our conclusion. We left 8K left in the flex for this lineup. Obviously, we want to upgrade some of these wide receiver spots as well. So if I was kind of making a final lineup here, I'd probably be pulling some of these mid wide receivers and look to upgrade them. But we got plenty of spots to upgrade. Amon-Ra, like, okay, did we go wrong like that? Nope. Like it. Put Rice in there. That's cool. Like from here, what I normally would do if I was building a true lineup for the week is I would probably look to the non-correlative spots. So, for example, I would leave Wilson, McBride, Brissett. If I had a piece from Jacksonville, I might leave that in there. And then I'm going to look for a second like skinny stack somewhere. Maybe with one of these other players that are in my lineup. Maybe I'd throw in Arizona. Maybe I'd grab some Travis Etienne, for example. Again, we talked at the onset. If Etienne gets the full ride here, I don't love this spot for Etienne, but if he gets the full ride without Bajal Tootin, maybe something like that, upgrade the other 2K somewhere else. All right, guys, that's going to do it for the DraftKings First Look NFL Week 12. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. Make sure you subscribe to DFS Army YouTube. We have a ton of content coming out all throughout the week. If you want to get signed up at DFS Army, promo code Geek, 10% off. Come in, join our team, become a part of Average Joe's competing and defeating DFS pros on the regular. Guys, you see it. I don't know what more I can tell you. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 different members. 4 different members. This is a 100,000 entry contest. Destroying the leaderboards. That was DraftKings. This is FanDuel this week. All these different names. So you want to be a part of that, dfsarmy.com, sign up with promo code Geek. Check back in here Thursday morning for the Showdown Breakdown. And of course, Friday afternoon at 5 for Tournament Tactics. Good luck this week, everybody. Helmets up, guys. Let's go.